see this crease between my eyebrows?
Yes, sir.
That comes from worry. You're not going to deepen the crease, are you?
That phone call, bad idea.
Possible insider trading.
I can't let you through.
I'm still vice president.
You were vice president.
Your account is frozen.
What?
Your account, that's everything.
Give me my money!
Hey, Jack.
Hello, Jack.
What the hell are you doing here?
I want you to be the father of my child. Alex and I, we're feeling maternal.
Try a sperm bank.
Please, that is like shopping for Gucci at Walmart.
You're lesbians, right?
We're business women. We'll pay you.
I can't do this.
You just got canned. And your current net worth is somewhere between 0 and the gross national debt. I know how to increase your cash flow.
Have you lost your damn mind?
Willing to pay $10,000 each. Sold.
Knocking up a bunch of lesbians? That's some freaky shit.
You are a cash cow.
What's this I hear about you making babies?
I'm gonna do it.
Go ahead, make me a baby.
Whoa. Sex and scandal always make front page news.
Survival makes a person do things they know in their heart is wrong.
You're under arrest.
Isn't it true that you accepted large cash payments from lesbians to impregnate?
I'm not proud of what I did, but that has nothing to do with why we're here.
The only thing I'm guilty of is whistleblowing, and that's not a crime.
I don't know what the future holds, and I don't know if we can make it. I don't know why I can't let go after all.
Mozart, Coltrane, Picasso, Shakespeare, Da Vinci. You know, a whole lot of money for that.
Money for what?
To buy these specimens.
She hate me.
She hate me. She doesn't feel that way about you, though, man. She told me so.
Welcome to Umpers. I am Bob Sham.
I am Angela.
The sounds you hear might be dogs. There's a cat behind you. You can see. See the kitty? Alice. Alice is a nice kitty. She hasn't noticed the trash cans back down on the floor. I'm sure she'll turn it over tonight.
Yeah.
So, one of our topics this month, and this is the last of those topics this month, is strange love. Mm-hmm. And strange is an understatement when talking about this movie.
Yeah.
I would actually say this is the weirdest movie we've seen yet. And we've seen Wild at Heart and Crimes of the Future. So this is weirder than those.
Yeah.
And this is also our first Spike Lee joint. In college, I smoked a few Spike Lee joints.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't watched a lot of Spike movies in a minute.
Yeah.
Do the Right Thing was a big movie in my early 20s. I had it on VHS. It got a lot of play. Mm-hmm. I think it was a lot maybe more thought out and well shot movie compared to this.
Yeah.
But if you had anyone be like, name 4 Spike Lee movies, the odds of them naming the one we're talking about today probably would not come up.
I don't think I'd ever even heard of it.
I once asked someone if they'd ever seen this movie, this Spike Lee. We were talking about Spike Lee movies, and I said, have you ever seen She Hate Me? And they were like, I don't think he made that.
He did, though.
And I was like, and I had to pull up my phone. I was like, no, he did.
Yeah.
Because this movie is so weird and divisive.
Yeah.
It's got its cult appreciators, but it has its flaws. It's essentially a satirical comedy that takes place in 2004. And it touches base on the satirical political commentary of things going on at the time. We're going up to a George W. Bush re-election. Those days, you don't get the days we're at now without those days. But it is interesting how people kind of do overlook it, right? Especially since we got adult people who were like born in like the early 2000s at this point, because we're getting so fucking old. So these 2000s era leading to the George W. Bush presidency, invading countries and shit, which would continue for like 20 years, essentially, in terms of expanding our militarism in multiple countries. It wasn't even until our current presidency that we got out of Afghanistan, and it is well over 20 years since that happened.
Yeah.
And hell, we probably still got a few people there, as far as I know. But this movie is seems very confused. There's a lot you can kind of nitpick and pull hairs on.
Yeah.
I think the answer to a lot of the things we might nitpick will be like, well, it's just outlandish satirical comedy.
Yes. I mean, the thing that's funny about this is there are it's like he took two completely different movie ideas and shoved them together. Because
that is one that
Anthony Mackie.
Yes.
Very young Anthony Mackie.
A young Anthony Mackie.
A young, oh my God, I just said her name right before this.
Kerry Washington.
Kerry Washington.
She's a dime.
Oh my God. And Ellen Barkin, Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
But the thing is yeah,
Q-Tip from A Tribe Called Quest.
Q-Tip,
who I actually
was
enjoyed
charming as fuck.
In terms of things like Q-Tip and when we meet his parents, Jim Brown,
he's so good.
We're getting these attempts at emotional connection, friendship connection, and you want to grab onto it, but we just don't kind of come back enough to it for it to really have enough of a feeling.
I do feel like I got that a little bit with Q-Tip's character, though, honestly, because then at the end, when he's like with the girl he met at the sperm bank, I was like, he's with Terry! Like, I did feel connection to him, but I think that's truly just because I can only imagine he was just playing himself and he's just a sweet guy.
Q-Tip,
you know?
There was a subtle charm to his performance here, and when we see him talking to Anthony Mackie, I think Anthony Mackie's performance got better as the movie went on.
Yeah, I do too.
But when it started in that scene in the doctor's office with the doctor.
Dr. Schiller. Dr. Schiller.
Oh, John, sorry.
Are you all right?
Just thinking about Prexaline. What's this?
Raspberry latte. That's your favorite, right?
So it is. Thank you.
To Prexaline.
You can't fucking tell me that is like some acting toward divorce. That was stiff as fuck.
Yeah.
And we're like presented with this.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and burn through this movie the best I can in terms of what this is about. He works at some like medical tech company. Pharmaceutical tech company. And he has this doctor friend who they whistleblow. I forget what the problem is. What is the problem?
Well,
They're trying to put out AIDS medication.
Okay, they're trying to put out an AIDS vaccine. The friend kills himself. He jumps out of the window
and he takes out like 3 people.
That was so sad. He killed the guy at the coffee place, which like
at the hot dog stand. It was the hot dog cart.
No, it was the coffee cart.
He fell on the hot dog cart.
He got the raspberry coffee from there at the beginning. I only know that because they made a big deal about raspberry coffee.
What's this?
Raspberry latte. That's your favorite, right?
So it is.
But that doctor kills like 3 people.
Yeah, I don't even know how he killed that many people.
We see like 2 other people on the ground. He's like, did he hit them too? What the fuck happened?
He didn't jump through glass. It's not glass fell.
Kind of a weirdly brutal shot.
It really was. It really was. And a lot of blood actually too.
Yeah.
And but so that doctor, they had been friends and they were working on this vaccine, and that doctor leaves him an envelope with information and a video that's like his video journal, and he's talking about how he knows that the company, someone within the company, has been embezzling money.
That's it.
They pushed through the trials. Like they were told they were not going to get approved because they made them go faster. The doctor was like, "We need another year of testing. Like some things are promising, but we need more testing." And they were like, "No, let's do it." And then the FDA was going to not approve them, but they were going to they were trying to keep going as though everything was fine.
He's a whistleblower.
Well, so Anthony Mackie then made a phone call.
He makes a phone call. He's a whistleblower.
Yeah.
But then the people, the Woody Harrelson and Ellen Barkin are like these executives.
Yeah.
He's a VP. He's out.
They kick him out and they blame him.
And they flip the media to blame him about it. So the FCC seizes his funds since he's being investigated. So now he's like flat broke. He's got no money. His bank has been seized. He used to be a VP of a pharmaceutical tech company, and he is not anymore.
Here's the deal. This is where he made a big mistake. Okay? He whistleblew, but guess who did he call? The HR of his own company.
Oh, come on.
You don't do
How
that.
Did you
if
even
you're going
make
to
it?
whistleblow, you call the fucking FBI.
How did you even make it to vice president honestly thinking HR is going to be on your side.
I need help with my corrupt company. Let me look in the handbook. What the fuck, dude?
No.
So dumb. So then this kind of sets up that he has no money.
So he's got nothing, and then his ex-girlfriend, wife, comes.
Ex-girlfriend, he was fiance.
Walks back. It's Kerry Washington. Walks back in with her girlfriend, Danya Ramirez.
Oh my God.
Couple of hottie dimes. They're like, we want to have your baby. We both want to
get pregnant
together with you at the same time. Anthony Mackie does have a personal relationship with Kerry Washington.
He loved her.
So I guess you can see why she would pick him, why she would be more comfortable with him. And he's like, why don't you go to a sperm bank or whatever? And
She's
they're
not
like,
guaranteed.
And they're like, no, that's not what we're going to do here.
At some point, it's even brought up about that, like a negative against sperm banks, that doctor who impregnated like 70 women with his own sperm. Yeah. That is a crazy story.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like one of the things they cite as like why not to go to a sperm bank.
Sure.
You can't trust where that sperm's coming from.
And so the movie's a little all over the place. This movie was 2 hours and like almost 20 minutes long.
It was too long.
It was long for as much as like y'all could have really cut a lot here. But
yeah.
So he goes and he touches base with his like family, his father, his brother. And even as I describe this, it is kind of nice. You want to see more of that family and the way they interact. And Jim Brown is in it, the late Jim Brown.
So good.
He passed away just a couple of months ago as of this recording. And he even brought more of like a casual soft touch to it just in that scene. And it stood out because honestly, up to this point, the acting is kind of questionable.
Yeah.
Right? And he just came in it straight and quiet, and it actually was working for me. But the problem is, like, we only go back to this family, other than his brother,
like 3 times the
whole
movie,
1 or 2 times, like at the end when the trial's happening. So there's just this kind of presumed emotional weight, and you are wanting to grab onto it, but it never revisits. And even like his friend Q-Tip, who seems like, and who I really liked his subtle charm in his role, and it makes sense. He's the front man for an all-timer rap group, Tribe Called Quest. Rest in peace, Fife. At one point where he's talking to him about stuff, I had this thought like, what if Q-Tip was the lead in this movie? He was almost like such this quiet charm that I felt like it would have worked better in a comedy for Anthony Mackie, who really didn't seem to like grab onto it until he was able to get mad and upset after the company had ousted him.
So I think that let's just play a game. If the two of them were up for this role and one was going to be the best friend and one was going to take his clothes off, I think he made Mackie take his clothes off. Listen, I'm not saying that Q-Tip would not look great. I don't know. He was kind of wearing some baggy clothes. I don't know what he's got going on under there.
Mackie does look better.
You like somebody, but they make Mackie get naked. I think we saw his D at one point.
We saw it like a little like
just like a shadow
silhouette.
Of his D. But like they make him take his clothes off and spin a round.
Q-Tip exuded casual charm that I felt like he really would work in more comedic roles like this.
Yeah, but would you have believed that he also was the VP of a pharmaceutical company?
Yeah, why not?
I don't know.
Why would I believe that Anthony Mackie is?
Because
the motherfucker's going through HR to whistleblow on his own company.
Well, that was dumb, and I said that was dumb. But also, he's kind of like, I don't know. I don't know.
Fucking, who's that dude that played Arthur in those movies? That motherfucker
Dudley
was
Moore.
lead.
There was no amazing acting in this movie. No. Okay? So basically, he has no money. He's got to figure his shit out. His dad is like, you got to watch out because this company is going to come after you. You got to watch your shit. Well, he gets a lawyer on his dad's advice, and the lawyer's like, you got to tell me everything. Well, at the same time, he finally agrees to get with Kerry Washington and her girlfriend because they're going to give him $10,000, $5,000 each to give them babies. And so they go there, and the girlfriend wants it in a baster because she does not want to fuck him.
Yeah, but Kerry Washington
wants to fuck him. And this is like the first point of contention in this like triangle of a relationship is that the girlfriend thought Kerry was also going to do the baster thing, but Kerry Washington was like, it's a woman's prerogative. It's a woman's choice. I want to get pregnant this way. And I was like, Okay.
Oh, this movie's written by Michael Janae and Spike Lee, by the way.
Fantastic. Okay.
Good job,
They
guys.
needed maybe one more person to edit them.
I am going to give a major compliment when we get there.
Okay.
To this movie.
Sure. So they do it. And he fucks her, and that scene is hot.
Yeah.
This
is a pretty sexy
There's some
movie.
sexy shit in this movie. Well, then, okay, they give him the money, whatever. And then Kerry Washington shows back up at his house a few nights later, or his apartment, with 5 women who all want to give him $10,000 each to get them pregnant, because Kerry Washington has gotten pregnant.
And they're lesbians.
They're all lesbians.
No one's asking for turkey basting.
They're businesswomen. This is what didn't make sense to me. But I mean, obviously, the turkey basting didn't work because the girlfriend did not get pregnant, but Kerry Washington got pregnant. And so I guess...
Did they consult any actual lesbians for this?
Can I tell you? No, sir, they did not. They did not. Now, what I did appreciate... Because this is what they did. This is the danger thing the bad, terrible thing that they did, okay?
Yeah.
He eventually agrees, okay, fine, I'll fuck these women and get them pregnant for money. So he's
fine.
raw dogging. Okay, also, this is a movie about trying to get an AIDS vaccine.
And he's raw dogging all
and
these
he's
women.
raw dogging all these lesbians.
I assume they had to
lesbians can have issues too.
I assume they had to present a test to Kerry Washington.
They did at one point say that they needed to see his most recent medical records. But
True.
They weren't you got to go get tested. It just felt like a weird dichotomy to me of we're talking about an AIDS vaccine and then you're fucking all these people without condoms. Okay, so the thing that they did that was kind of funny, but then you think about it, it's really fucked up, is that they all agree, okay, we're going to have sex. And some of these lesbian women were not into the fact that they were going to fuck a man. This one girl truly was I've never been with a man. I don't think I want to do this. There's this part where he's trying to pry her legs apart.
Oh, yeah.
But... the fucking shit thing that they did is that no matter how big of a lesbian they were, no matter how many times they said they'd never want to fuck a man, they all enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, sure. I mean, if their girlfriend put on a strap on and went at it, they'd feel it.
I know.
Things still feel good.
It almost felt like these women, it almost felt like it was trying to say... It doesn't matter if you don't even like men. Anthony Mackie is so good at fucking that you're going to love fucking Anthony Mackie.
Oh, yeah.
But there's just the idea of turning... I don't... Do you know what I mean? They don't posit that he turns anyone... Well, they do, actually.
The shot choices in this movie, cinematographer Matthew Libatique, were very up and down. There's a lot of, in-the-face shots that are just a little too... They didn't really work for me. But then there'd be stuff when the guy fell out of the window and the underhand shots of that was really well done. And the shots surrounding the women while they're analyzing him. And obviously there's a statement there. He's being treated like a piece of meat, right?
And they say it.
Yeah. And so the shots between the legs and how they're analyzing him and looking at him. That's pretty...
And he's feeling a little, abused and taken advantage of by Kerry Washington.
That scene was pretty crafty, admittedly.
It was.
But what's weird about this movie is that you'd get these moments that are that seemed kind of sharp. And then you'd go into the next scene, and it's what are people talking about? Why didn't they reshoot this scene? Why is that shot stuck up in his face like that? It really was all over. And also we get these weird, and this is the political commentary bits where there's a story where he's related to this guy who was part of the whistleblower security for Watergate.
He's not related to him. His dad just tells him the story about him.
And it's this weird comedic bit where one part where a guy in a Richard Nixon mask who's supposed to be representing the actual Richard Nixon.
It's a weird fantasy.
And then you got all the political players at the time, and G. Gordon Liddy's there.
And they're all announcing who they are.
And I understand what the little satirical point was, but boy, you did not need those scenes.
No.
Because the whole movie is just
and they do it more than once.
Thematically, this movie's just all over the place. A little dated, not really that funny.
It's very surprising to me that he made this movie after already making other movies. This feels very much like a young person with too many ideas, and they've had it all churning in their head for so long that they just spit it out into one big thing that's a mess because they just need to get it out of themselves so they can then move on to making sense.
The whole vibe, the whole script feels like a film student writing their first script in that era and trying to make some kind of statement.
Also, this may be my age now because I am a little bit older. Didn't they all seem way too young to be running a company? Like, Woody Harrelson looked like a baby. Anthony Mackie was like a baby.
He wasn't that. Ellen Barkin was of age.
But
Anthony Mackie was a baby, yeah.
I don't know. It just felt like the people in this company who are bad are white. Not obviously, but they are. So like Ellen Barkin and Woody Harrelson. And Woody Harrelson makes some like very terrible racist comments through this. Like there is sort of also this like idea that, and he even says himself, he's like, I'm the black guy that just recently quit and is disgruntled. So you're just blaming it on me and everyone's believing it. And it just sucks.
So Anthony Mackie, I think the joke here with Mackie is that, look, when a guy can maybe like come a couple times.
This is crazy.
And then he's shooting blanks. But Mackie can have sex with 8 women or 5 women. I think
5 was the max
and impregnate them all.
In one night.
And, you know, for all the problems that I have with this movie, it did have the funniest fucking shit that honestly you may ever see in a movie. Genuinely hilarious. Whenever it cuts to like this.
Oh my God.
Computer generated side bit. And we see this several times of like little sperms.
With his face.
Swimming to Flight of the Valkyries. And it's got Anthony Mackie's face on it. And it shows him impregnating all the eggs of
and
these
the eggs
women.
have the women's face on them.
Anthony Mackie's sperm is at least going to get this into a C+ territory, I think. I think.
Sure.
If it wasn't for that, it would be like, ooh, I don't know. But this has images of sperm with Anthony Mackie's face on it. And later, because he's essentially being pimped out, but he's getting paid handsomely.
Yeah.
By his ex.
10,000 a person.
That's a lot.
And she's taking like 5%. Couple things happen that kind of blow this up. Her girlfriend comes to him and says, hey, we've tried the baster thing 3 times. I want you to fuck me because I want to have a baby.
Yeah.
Because I'm not pregnant and she's pregnant. I need to be pregnant. And so they have sex.
And
Kerry
of course,
Washington
is insecure about it, even though she fucked him directly.
But yeah, it's weird to her that they're now together. It's like that, like you can be my best friend and someone else can be my best friend, but if y'all start being best friends without me, like I'm not cool with it. Like it's that attitude, which is dumb.
We really kind of breezed over the fact how she really just kind of straight up ambushed him with this.
Oh, she never asked him.
You're gonna fuck all these. Like they are there. He comes home and they are there.
Yeah, she also never gives him a heads up that, okay, it's gonna be on Fridays. She doesn't do that. She just shows up.
Yeah, she's like, I know you ain't got shit. You just got fired. You're being investigated. You need the money.
Yeah, so
she's
I know, but this whole thing goes down with the girlfriend, which they make up about it. Like kind of the girls talk about it and they have sex about it and they're fine. But
and he signs waivers too.
He signs waivers for all these women that he's not going to have any like parental. Well, so he decides I can't do this anymore. I need to stop doing this. This woman comes to him. And she says, listen, I need to do this. I meant to come earlier when he kicked everyone out. She's like, I was supposed to be here earlier, but I wasn't sure if I was going to come. I need this. And he's like, I don't do this anymore. And she's like, please, please, please. Gorgeous Italian woman. He fucks her. Mm-hmm. Immediately, she goes, oh! And then she goes, you did it.
Yeah. Life does begin at conception.
I'm going to have twins.
Life begins at a messy ass cream pie. That's where life begins.
But anyway, so she's the daughter of a mob boss.
Yeah. And she's like, we're not all gangsters. And she ended up being like, yeah, you are a gangster.
Yeah. Well, because he was like, no. And she's like, is it me? Like, we're not all, like, why do you think?
Because she's Italian.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
And then they are
Who plays her dad? Because I
John
love
Turturro.
him. I love
He's in
John
a lot
Turturro.
of Spike Lee movies, yeah.
I love him. He was so good at this. So he basically calls Anthony Mackie. Now, here's where all of our worlds collide and we see Bunk. Bunk is in this movie.
Right. The dude from The Wire who goes, shit. And he literally... This movie comes out like 2 years after The Wire premiered.
Yeah.
He's essentially he literally was like, you're the shit guy. Can you say shit like 4 times in my movie?
Yeah.
And Bunk's like, I like paychecks.
Hell yeah. And he's playing a cop. and he's saying shit, and he's just doing his thing. I think this is just who he is. I think he's probably said that forever.
Well, he definitely did after 2002.
This is when kind of the whole shit hits the fan, because Anthony Mackie's being followed because of the stuff with the business, because they think that he did all the creepy things with the business. And then these guys are following him, and then there's people watching John Turturro's house because he's a mob boss. And they have this meeting, which is actually like one of my favorite scenes of the movie, when they're just like talking to each other about stuff. Like the dad's like asking him questions, kind of getting to know him, and then he basically is like, listen, I heard you sign some papers that you don't have any rights. And Anthony Mackie's like, yeah, that's true. And he's like, okay, well, you're never going to see my daughter again after today, but it's been really great to meet you. Yeah. And then he's like, come on with me. You're totally safe here. It's not like the movies. It's totally fine. But there's also like cops everywhere, and they just don't know it. And so Anthony Mackie leaves. Well, then they arrest him because they start looking into him more, and they figure out, well, I think
it's okay to go to someone's house.
Well, you can arrest anybody. You just can't always charge and keep them. Right. So they want to like get him in there because they see him at the mob person's house, and then they somehow figure out that he's been making all this money fucking these ladies. They find that out somehow. I don't know how. Maybe because they're watching him, but they eventually know that. I guess
it is prostitution. He does have a pimp.
He is. It is. You know, it is. Totally. Because it's also like, where are you getting this money from? I don't know. But that's the connection. And he gets, he goes to jail because they're basically like, you're a menace to society.
It's a little over the top, the process. So over truly. The top. Like it is not a very analytically vetted process of the legal system. Yeah. But again, you could just say this is a satirical comedy, which it is. And so that's why he can come buckets every night. Mm-hmm. That's why, he's just can immediately be thrown in front of Judge Ossie Davis, who there's a lot of cameos in this movie.
Yeah.
And then that's when the family comes back around.
He does go to his house when his parents are fighting that one night. Like he does go to the house a couple times.
It's not enough to really grab on. It's a very superficial emotional connection. Yeah. Because when you meet him,
there's too much going on.
There is way too much going on. He's setting up his diabetes, the conflict with his mother, and that specific conflict does not come back. So it's
because they're still together.
So it's not something that's played through like it's a part of, like an essential part of the plot or a part of what defines the main character in this movie. I mean, he loves his family like anyone else does, but there's this thing where he's rolling with his brother, and they're talking about how the ethics of what he's doing, and the movie kind of posits that like, yeah, there is some ethic questionability to him, but in my mind, it's like these women. They try to present it like this is a black man who's impregnating and making a lot of kids. But it's not like that. Mm-mm. These women have they have partners that they're raising these kids with.
They want to have babies. A lot of them tell stories about trying to adopt and spending tens of thousands of dollars, but they're same-sex couples.
And the brother's like, that's crazy. That's like, what is talking about the morals of impregnating a bunch of lesbians?
He's like, how are you going to take care of all these kids?
Granted, it's like, why aren't they turkey-based and why do you have to fuck them directly? Yes. But still, it's completely agreed to. This isn't women without help in their lives. Mm-hmm. Just because they don't have you to be the present father does not mean that these other women can't just... They're a couple. These are all couples.
Well, but then when the brother realizes that Anthony Mackie signed papers and he's not financially responsible or responsible at all, he's like, oh, well, then that's good money.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's obviously good money.
I mean, but he basically like throws all his morals out the window and is like, oh, you don't got to take care of all of them? Okay.
But that question was still up. And the movie kind of posits that the question may be a legitimate question, but it's not. It's like it's literally, as Kerry Washington reiterated, it's a business transaction.
Absolutely. She's a businesswoman.
And you get to like bust and all these women. Mm-hmm. And I love it when the sperms are tired later and they're like Anthony Mackie's tired face just floating along.
He's like popping like horny goat weed and drinking Red Bulls between every woman.
Right. So, he takes a lot of the blue pills.
Yeah. So
but it's trial time.
And so it's trial time. Kerry Washington's had her baby, like through this, like all these women keep going into labor. It'll like show you when one of the women goes into labor, like through this whole thing. And he's been writing to these girls also before the trial to say, Kerry Washington, her girlfriend, to say, I've been thinking a lot about myself and my life and the decisions I've made and the things that I've done. And there's going to be some changes when I come out and I know what I want now, kind of, right? Like he says that. So yeah, they go to trial.
And the lawyer does nothing. He's sitting there talking. He makes this big grandiose speech.
Well, it's like a deposition. It's not really a trial. Like he's supposed to be talking with those people, right? Like it's when you go in front of.
Cut to the end. Ossie Davis is like, a man with 19 kids does not need to be locked up. He needs to be out there.
Oh yeah, that's when he goes back to trial.
And then he sets him free.
Yeah.
And so he's free. Well, Anthony Mackie meets up with Kerry Washington, and Dania Ramirez is the actress who plays the other woman. And he posits like, why can't we all just, like, he is in the life of Kerry Washington's baby and Dania Ramirez's baby.
Yeah, he's like over at their house, like he's helping put the babies down for a nap.
And then he posits like, why can't we just all do this together and be together? It's Kerry Washington.
He tells her he loves her too.
And he loves her. And then he kisses Danya, and the movie essentially is like ends in a throuple, the way the Fablemans probably should have ended.
Then the girls kiss each other, and they're all together.
And then it shows this picture of all the women and their couples. Did that imply that he's actually taking care of all those babies now?
No, they just know all these women. To me, it implied that they're just a network. Like they probably like take their kids on. They probably all meet at the park, you know, and he probably does like see the kids, but I think it's just that they're all just in each other's life. I mean, she knew them because they were her friends. Yeah. You know, you're not just approaching random lesbians. You're like, hey, I know you know her. Do you want to have a baby? You know? But they do show them at the beach with the two women, the two babies, and he brings his dad, and he has this moment where the dad's like in his wheelchair, and he's like, excuse me a minute, Dad. And he's like, yeah, go take care of your family or whatever. And then he walks down, and it's like him with the two girls and the two babies, and Dad's just going, all right, son. Like, what are you going to do?
Why not? It is what it is. I'm imagining Michael Genet, who originally it was a story about him, and he and Spike did the screenplay. And I'm imagining them like, I want a movie about a man who donates his sperm directly to lesbians. And I'm picturing people in their life that are actually like in same-sex relationships being like, why would he do? And they're like, no, I got this.
This is what I'm saying, because there's that whole thing where maybe not nowadays, but there have been times in our not so recent past where if two lesbians were somewhere, a straight guy would just assume that both those women would want to have sex with him together. Maybe they do sometimes. These women did. Sometimes people have polyamorous relationships, and that's awesome. And that ended up being what this is.
Yeah.
But the idea that all these lesbians would want to actually fuck him does not make sense to me. Like, get his sperm, sure, absolutely. He's an attractive, smart man.
This would be a purely turkey baster scenario.
Yeah.
Danya got it. She was like, "Oh, I'm turkey baster only," but it wouldn't work.
Apparently, unless it's like straight D to P, no babies.
There's something about the Mackie's bust, his nut, that requires direct contact. Obviously,
it's insane.
It is insane. This movie is fucking nuts.
Also,
I would have cut 35 minutes off and add 15 more minutes of sperm scenes.
It took so long to get to all the baby shit that I looked at you at one point and went, how is this weird love? And you actually, or whatever the theme is, like, and then you literally said to me, you were like, maybe I misread the description of this movie. Like, it took so long to get to, like,
anything.
It got there.
It got there.
It so got there. But there was a point where I was like, what is this movie about?
Yeah, you're just getting mad, and I'm
it just
like,
seemed like corporate bullshit for a while.
Bullshit?
With the business.
Oh, right. Like, what are you talking about? Walmart didn't make this movie. The corporate. Oh, yeah.
Storyline.
Honestly, like, if I could reimagine this movie, I actually would love if Spike, like, how would Spike Lee make this movie today?
God, well, it would be two different movies.
Remake it, Spike. Remake it. I would honestly start with him getting fired for the whistleblowing, but the movie just concentrates on the three relationships, the two women and him, and this weird, I would keep the weird business, but like present a lot more emotional ties to the family, bring in Q-Tip more, and kind of do a lot less of the Woody Harrelson, Ellen Barkin scenes.
You don't even need them.
And honestly, you don't need the Italian, as good as John Turturro is, you don't really need the Italian mobster scenes either. They just kind of like added a pointless layer to it.
That was how they used it to, like, I guess, yeah, it didn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
But I love John Turturro.
It's fucking bonkers. This is the weirdest movie we've watched yet, and we humped this movie just like Anthony Mackie humped all of these lesbians. And you get 1 through 5. I'm gonna give 1 through 5 combined for best out of 10 for our last Strange Love feature of the month. The deep ass cut. This movie did not make budget. It was a very low budget movie for a movie. It did not. A lot of people who are like, I love Spike Lee. A lot of people do not know. Like they missed this one.
Yeah. They also reach quite a bit on the title of this movie.
Oh, because
there is a scene where they basically say that they're not going to say Fatma's name, who is the character of Kerry Washington, and so they start calling her "She Hate Me"
because there was a
but
guy.
It's only one scene
because there was a ball player who had "He Hate Me" on his jersey, and they're like, he hate me. It's like she hate me, but Q-Tip is like, she doesn't hate you.
Yeah,
and he's like, nah, she hate me. She hate me. So even like. The title is kind of nice. It's fun to say.
Yeah.
But like, it doesn't even make sense because no one except his old bosses really hate him.
And even Ellen Barkin likes him. She comes at one point. I thought they were gonna.
I thought he was gonna knock her
out. I wanted
up.
that to happen.
Why didn't that happen?
I don't know, but I wanted a Anthony Mackie.
Movie's 2 hours and 20 minutes long.
You know what? I bet you Ellen Barkin wanted that too.
We could have gotten one more sperm-faced Anthony Mackie sperm scene where he's knocking up Ellen Barkin.
Although it would have been real dumb for him to have sex with her.
Why?
Because of all this, they were illegal shit together. She shouldn't have even been at his house.
Well, you wouldn't want anything nonsensical in this movie. Okay.
What is the range of a C again?
C is.
I'm trying to get like my bearings.
What does it matter? You just give it to what you need it to be.
Fair. 2.
You give it a 2.
Mm-hmm. I'm giving it a 2. It didn't make sense, and it was way too long.
I do agree with you.
Acting was bad, except John Turturro and the dad.
But you know how we have the Harry Dean Stanton rule, where if Harry Dean Stanton is in a movie, it raises it to 0.25.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I am at a 2.5.
Okay.
And because what the stuff that I did laugh at, I genuinely believe it's kind of the funniest shit I've seen in a movie. But there's another rule and we only know it as they occur, right?
Yeah.
So you're just now finding out.
New rule.
If there is any CGI sperm with Anthony Mackie's face on it.
Specifically Anthony Mackie's face?
That's right.
Okay.
It brings it up a whole half point. An image of a sperm, Anthony Mackie's face, it is a half point.
So you're giving it a 2.5
I'm giving
plus?
it's a 3 from me. It's a 2 from you, a 3 from me. That gives it a right down the middle.
That is inappropriate. That is unappropriate. That is not appropriate.
Rules are rules. All right?
I'm just telling you 3 different ways that I don't like this
If Harry
score.
Dean Stanton showed up in this movie, it'd be I'd give it a 3.25 because those are the rules.
Why does he get a whole 0.5?
Because it's funny.
You think Anthony
Michael Mackie Hall?
Anthony Mackie's sperm faces are more important than Harry Dean Stanton.
It's just more rare.
It is more rare. I'll give you that.
I haven't seen every movie, but this might be the only movie where Anthony Mackie's face has been superimposed on sperm.
That means it's a 5.
Yeah.
All right, where are we at?
It's right down the middle. That is a C.
I think it's below average, but okay. This is a feminist movie. Sisters are doing it for themselves by paying Anthony Mackie $10,000 to get them some sperms inside their eggs.
Okay.
Go out there and get what you want, ladies.
So this is our first 5 right down the middle score.
Yeah.
It's between Story of the Kelly Gang and Kate Plays Christine. This is better than The Flash, though. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's better than Kate Plays Christine because everything is.
Except Bit and The Flash.
Yeah, that's true. Well, no, I actually think Bit is better than Kate Plays Christine.
I don't agree.
I know. I have my own opinions.
That's one movie where we kind of did divide on.
Yeah. It just made me mad. I'm emotional about movies.
Boom, She Hate Me. A very generous 5.
Yeah, extremely generous.
It's kind of, a lot of people, honestly, this movie, as I've seen other people rate it, it does have its cult appreciators, but it does shoot mid to lower. So we actually might be a little higher than a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I think even people that like Spike Lee sat through this movie and were like, what? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's a fair assumption. Like I said, I would have pulled back 35 minutes, add 10 more minutes of sperm scenes.
10 more minutes?
Spike Lee, just make a movie about Anthony Mackie's sperm traveling through a uterus. Like a whole adventure tale.
The only other sperm I can think of in a movie is Look Who's Talking.
Check the show notes for links and other places and where to find us.
Death to all traitors.
Death to all traitors.